Welcome to Love and Trauma, the real deal. I'm Danielle Sebastian, best-selling author, coach, and yes, I've been through the marriage trenches myself. This show is all about how to actually deal with trauma in relationships and make it work without losing your mind. If you're ready for honest talk, no fluff, and tools that cut through the noise, tune in because let's face it, love can be a bit of a mess, but it's a mess worth figuring out. This is Love and Trauma, the real deal. Let me ask you this. What happens when the mission, the purpose, the team you've given your entire adult life to is suddenly gone? That's exactly what today's guest faced. William Branum is a highly decorated Navy SEAL veteran who spent 26 years serving the country. He led high-pressure missions as a sniper instructor, protected Iraqi officials, and even carried out undersea operations so sensitive they had to be approved by the President of the United States. But when William retired, he said it was the hardest mission he'd ever been on. Overnight, he lost his team, his identity, his sense of purpose. And what followed were the invisible wounds so many veterans and high performers chronic pain, anxiety, sleepless nights, the impact all of that had on his relationships at home. For a while, he turned to alcohol just to get by. But then William found a different path. He discovered CBD, started Naked Warrior Recovery, and learned how to strip away the armor we all hide behind. Today, he's a global speaker, author, host of the Navy SEAL Mindset podcast, and a leadership coach who inspires everyone from Fortune 500 companies to everyday people face their fears, build resilience, and connect on a deeper level. In this episode, William gets real about what transition out of the service actually feels like, how trauma shows up in relationships, and the daily practices that help him choose connection over conflict. And here's the thing, you'll want to stick around to the very end because William shares the one mindset shift that not only saved his relationships, but also gave him back his life. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So much, William, for being here today. I'm so excited for this conversation. And I'm just going to jump in with my very first question, which is why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background and then what led you to be doing what you're doing today?
Oh yeah. So my background, I spent the last, I don't know, not the last 26 years, but I spent 26 years of my life from the time I graduated high school till, I don't know, 26 years later, in the Navy as a Navy SEAL. So I spent, basically 26 years of my life in the SEAL teams. Retired from the SEAL teams. And when I retired, I felt like that was the hardest military mission that I've ever been on. And what I mean by that is, from my entire adult life, I've been part of an epic team. I had a mission and I had a purpose. Every single day when I woke up in the morning, I knew what I was going to do that day. When I went home at night and laid my head on the pillow, I knew what I was going to do the next day. And all of those things led up to this, whatever the mission was that I was supposed to do. Originally it was to become a Navy SEAL and then do the jobs that the country, that the nation asked me to do, to go overseas and do those things. And it was an awesome job. I loved it. It was so gratifying and so fulfilling. And then one day, I believe it was July 31st of 2018. It was like that Avengers movie where Thanos snaps his fingers and half the world's population vanishes all at once. I lost my purpose and I lost my mission and I lost my team overnight. And so, and I had a pretty badass mission, purpose, and team. And so it was, everyone talks about the trauma of combat and the things that go on overseas with, really not so nice people, but no one really talks about these sort of invisible wounds. And then, about how people, and it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're high performers, if they're business owners, if they're military, if they're just parents who are becoming empty nesters. You have this thing that you've been doing, almost your entire life, and all of a sudden it's gone. And it's like, it's like, what do I do now? Where do I go? How do I operate? I don't even know what I'm supposed to do when I wake up in the morning. And so I had a tremendous amount of baggage from relationships that maybe didn't go so great. I, would drink myself to sleep at night. And I eventually heard about this molecule called CBD, which eventually helped me like drink less, have better positive self-talk, and helped me get my life in order. And so I started a CBD company, uh, originally to help veterans and first responders recover from traumatic events or just recover, period, get better sleep, have less pain, things like that. And then I realized I didn't know how to run or sell or be successful in e-commerce. So I hired some coaches. They told me, well, they asked me questions like, why aren't you coaching people? I'm like, what am I going to coach people on? How to shoot people in the face? Because that's my skill set. I don't think that transfers very well to, the civilian world. And they're like, no, no, leadership and communication and problem solving and all these other things. Okay, awesome. So I started coaching people. And another one of my coaches also said, well, why are you not speaking on stages? I'm like, well, what am I going to talk about? I don't have a message. And they're like, yes, you do. You just have to figure out what it is. And so one of them challenged me to go create a signature presentation. And basically what that meant was figure something out that you're an expert in. And it's something that and make it into a speech and something that's motivational and inspiring and educational. And you can deliver it in 10 to 15 minutes, or you can deliver it over 90 minutes. And so that's where I created what I call the get naked mindset. And when I talk about getting naked, I'm just like running right now. So I feel like I should stop and pause and let you ask a question before I run into
That
something,
is
maybe a direction you don't want to go.
no, no, thank you. That is amazing. And so I'm assuming that what you found is that your story isn't unique after
Oh, not at
military
all.
service ends.
Not at all. There's so many veterans. I mean, veterans, that's easy. I mean, I understand veterans because I am a veteran, and so many veterans run into the same problem. But it's also, like I mentioned earlier, like parents or stay-at-home moms who that their whole job was to stay at home and take care of the kids and the family and things like that. And all of a sudden, kids are off to college and they're like, what do I do now? I
Yes.
I know a guy who was a fireman, in the first responder world. They're like, what do I do now? I know a guy who was a heavy metal, like Megadeth, Slayer. He was a drummer for those bands. He wouldn't take, the medication that they were giving during the early 2020s, and so he couldn't tour around Europe. And so he had to completely transition and change the path that he was on. And so I found, I have clients who are entrepreneurs who sell their company and they're like, I don't know what to do with my life now. And so it's a very common thing to transition through life and not know what to do about this new reality that you have.
Yeah, it's interesting because I work with partners of, trauma survivors, and that can be, military, elite performers, that kind of thing. And retirement, I have so many that reached out that I wasn't anticipating that. But retirement is a really big life change.
Yes,
And
huge.
it really does affect the mental health and relationships. How are you seeing that people's relationships are affected by it, by that retirement piece?
Early on, it was kind of a joke in the SEAL teams, or even in the regular Navy, I guess probably the military wide, where we generally the men we would go and train and then go overseas and deploy and do those things. And then when we would come back, the home the wife or the significant other that's running the household, she's like, all right, we'll come home and we'll like start messing up the routine,
Yeah,
messing things up.
we got a real smooth little
Right, we got
operations
a
on
thing
here,
going.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
like you don't need to come in here and like mess this up, and then that creates a lot of turmoil and things like that in relationships. Oftentimes resentment because you don't understand what they're going through, they don't understand what you're going through, and there's a breakdown in communication with, in relationships.
yeah, I feel like a lot of the people that I work with, and I experienced it myself, not with necessarily with retirement, but that you're speaking different languages.
Yes.
And what one person hears is not necessarily what was intended. And those type of things. Is that kind of some of what you experienced?
Yeah, there's a lot of that, but also just a lot of like, you're in my way now. You need to move.
Yeah.
Or
Having
the other
to,
kind of the other
yeah,
extreme of that is which was something that I've experienced is, I would, be gone for a few weeks at a time, doing a trip, working up, getting ready to deploy or deploy. And I would come home and she would be like, "All right, you got it. I'm gonna go do my thing over here." Like as if she resented the fact that I was gone and took away all of her
yeah,
freedom. And so I came in and I would just do everything in
yeah.
order to make up for the fact that she had to stay home. And
Yes,
it just became like this, you owe me because I took care of your kids while you were deployed. I
yes.
deserve, I am entitled to, I whatever. And I was like, I'm sorry, how many times did someone try and take your life during this time? I don't, yeah. So very different
Yep.
perspectives in
Yeah.
in the in that arena.
Yeah. And just really trying to figure out how to be able to communicate with each other to create a solution is
Right.
so difficult because you said, like you said, the resentment is so high and
Yeah.
oh, all those things.
And it and,
Well,
and it and it's important that the partners want that both partners want to come up with a solution, not just like I deserve or I'm entitled. There's no entitlement. I don't believe in entitlement. I believe in shared relationship. I believe in taking care of one another. I believe in teamwork. We're in this together.
yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
doing more than me. I'm not doing more than you. We're doing our parts. Like everyone thinks that balance is 50-50. Well, it's really not. Balance could be 70-30, as long as the sum total comes up to be 100%.
Yeah, it is no easy feat. And definitely both parties need to be putting in the work to do
Yeah.
it. And tell me what some of the work is that you did that got you to the point where you actually did, you were like, I'm gonna just go speak about this. What was some of the work that worked for you?
Oh man. Um, that's a great question. That is a journey, I think. I would
Yeah.
I would argue like in the beginning, I didn't feel like I needed any help in any way, shape, or form. I can figure this out. I'm a pretty smart guy. But it was when I saw other leaders that I looked up to. Yeah, I looked up to tremendously, and they would go and ask for help. They're like, "Hey," and they would come in and talk to us and say, "Hey, fellas, I'm I just want to let you guys know I don't want there to be any weird rumors or anything. And also I think that everyone else should be getting this same kind of help. As I'm struggling in this area, and it's ruining ruining my marriage. So I'm going to go over here and do these things and start so that I can maybe hopefully save my marriage or save the relationship or at least just fix me. Maybe this marriage is over. I know I need to fix myself, and so I'm going to go do the things that I need to do to fix myself. Go talk to the people sometimes it's talking to the right people. Sometimes it's just getting a different perspective. Maybe you're having kind of a clash in your relationship. Go talk to a therapist who understands relationships just to get a different perspective. Because oftentimes, talking about my relationship, oftentimes I'm not seeing what she's seeing, and we're just talking past one another. And so sometimes it's funny. My current therapist, I can be on a call with her in less than 10 minutes. I know the answer to the solution because it's like I already know the answer, but sometimes I just need someone to give me just a little bit of a different perspective. I just need it. I need a little bit of an angle shift. Oh, now I understand what's happening. But again,
Yeah.
that takes a lot of work and a lot of self work and understanding. Like, make your partner a priority. Make understanding your partner a priority. And I think sometimes it doesn't happen on both sides, but it's, as long as you're doing the work that you're supposed to do, you're not wrong.
So you asked for help
Yes,
was the first step.
that was step number one. That was a long
Yeah.
answer for just asking for
Well, no, I mean
help.
but that's how hard it is. how it is.
It's
And
complicated.
so it's very
It's not
complicated.
simple.
Reaching out for help is not that easy. And so did you get did you just kind of find somebody or did you get recommendations? What did that look like for you?
I think, I didn't really start reaching out for help until about 2 years ago. And so and that's not true. I reached out for help in other ways. And the reason that I did was, I was when I started my CBD company, Naked Warrior Recovery, I was using this tagline of get naked. And really what that was about taking your ego off, taking that armor that you're hiding behind off so you can expose yourself, become vulnerable so you can find the healing that you actually need. And in that process, I I started asking for help. And again, it went back to that, this leader back in the SEAL teams where he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go get some help because I think I need it." And I was like, "That's like incredibly
Whoa.
brave." Like I
Yeah.
thought he was just going to get devoured by the piranhas that are, these alpha male, whatever. We don't do anything wrong and we, consume the weak. And actually what happened is more guys that I looked up to were like, "Oh yeah, I probably should do some of that too." They're much more, they had more, I don't know the right word, they were
Permission.
more self-aware, or
Yeah.
they were not afraid of looking weak in front of someone else saying that they need help.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's super interesting. I'm probably still not going to ask for help." And then and then fast forward to I think in the 2020, late 2020s, when this app called Clubhouse was going. It was
Hmm.
it was like it was almost like live podcast, just going, and there were different rooms you could go in, and I was like, okay, let me try and like promote myself and my company and be brave enough to like get out there and talk. And I was in a room, and there was this therapist person in there. I don't know which psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever.
Okay.
Like a like a she was known around the world. And I got on there and I was like, yeah, I'm working on being vulnerable and, letting down my guard and getting naked and all this stuff. But I really hate asking people for help. And she's like, that's super interesting. Let me ask you a question. How does it make you feel? She said, do you like helping other people? I was like, yeah. So what does that feel like when you help other people? How do you feel when that happens, when you do
Yeah.
that? I said, I feel amazing. I love helping other people. It's the thing that gets me up in the morning. And she was like, so why are you stealing that joy from someone else? And I was like, I can't talk to you anymore. You are mean. I was like,
That
that
hits
hurt.
deep.
That hurt a little bit.
That hits deep.
So from that point
Oh,
till
yeah.
today, I have to give myself permission to ask for help because I know the value that it's going to bring to someone else. And sometimes, we always feel like we have the answer. We need to give the answer. But oftentimes it's more important to ask the question, "Hey, can you help me? Can you help me answer this question?" Rather than me having to have the answers all the time, which is a very hard thing to do, I think.
Do you think that like trust is part of it that it's hard to trust someone until you get to know them,
Yes.
obviously.
Yeah, yes.
How did you overcome some of that? Oh
I
my God,
still,
trust and
I still struggle with it.
okay.
Still
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
I don't just blindly trust. Sometimes I do,
Yeah.
but I my the therapist again. I'll just go back to the therapist I have today. She was actually given connected through the VA, the
Okay.
Department of Veteran Affairs. And my first conversation with her, I was not impressed. I was like, "Yeah, you're not going to tell me anything I don't already know."
Yeah.
Second conversation I had with her, I brought a real world problem that I was struggling with. And she started talking. And because of the work that I had already done, I knew exactly where she was going. And so I could get to the answer much more quickly. And then it kind of then we started having, it was kind of a joke. And I was like, I haven't talked to you for a long time. Or it was like, if I had not spoken to her for a while and I had a meeting coming up, and I'm like, my life has been great. My relationship has been great. Everything has been beautiful, perfect. Like, I don't need to talk to her. 2, 3 days, one day before the call, nuclear bomb goes off. I'm like,
Yep.
what? How the what? What did she look at my calendar? What happened over here? And so then I'm able to like freshly go right into that. I'm like, and have that again, have that joke with her. Like, I didn't think that we were going to have this again. I thought we were just going to be like talking about, playing patty cake or something. And so
Yeah.
here's the thing. And she's like, yep.
Wow.
And then she always tells me the thing that I need to hear to get my life in order.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. And that it takes a leap, a leap
Yes.
of faith. And I feel like it kind of takes the right person too, which can be some of the difficulty. But I like that you have to give it a chance, as you said, right? That first appointment, you're like, eh,
Yeah. I was like, I've worked with others. I'm good. I'm like,
eh,
you're telling me the same thing that I tell other people.
right. Like there's
And then, yeah. And then
something
I,
about
then I was like, okay. Then I got humbled.
oh gosh. Okay. I love that. Thank you. Okay, so tell me now what, because I do want to get into what you found with the CBD, because I think that's really important. But what is your speaking and coaching? So tell me just a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I'm a global keynote speaker, and my main message that I give, my main topic is five
Yeah.
secrets to help you think like a Navy SEAL. And
Ooh,
just like I talked about just a minute ago, the tagline "Get Naked" is
yeah.
actually my signature presentation. And so what I did is, my coach was like, everyone needs to create a signature presentation, and so I took naked and turned it into an acronym. And so
Okay.
the
Ooh.
acronym for naked is, the N stands for never quit. The A is accept failure, because failure has been the greatest teacher of my life. So if you don't accept, you're going to fail. And if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. Actually, let's go back to never quit, because this past weekend, I swam across the Hudson River in New York as a fundraiser. There are 323 swimmers in the water. After the swim, there was an after party, and there were 3 stops during the swim. There was a stop in front of the Statue of Liberty on a barge where we climbed out of the
Oh,
water. We did 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups. 100 push-ups represent different things. The 22 pull-ups represents 22 veterans who take their life every single day. So bringing awareness to that. Then we jump back in the water. We swim to a barge in front of Ellis Island, climb out, do another 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups. Then we jump back in the water, swim across to Lower Manhattan, get out, run with flags to the 9/11 Memorial. They have pull-up bars set up there, and we do another 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups. And after the event, at the after party, I was talking to someone, and they were like, "Wow, you just cranked out those pull-ups." And I said, "Well, and I was also wearing a shirt that said 'Get Naked.'" And in the conversation, I said the N stands for never quit, and they're like, well, there's no way I could do like sets of 10 or 11 or 22 pull-ups. I was like, well, no, this is what never quit is all about. It's really about, so let's say you can do maybe 3 pull-ups. Just do one pull-up at a time until you get to 10, 11, or 22, whatever the thing is. And they were like, I never thought about it like that. So it's taking this big thing that you have, this big audacious goal, the hard thing that's just overwhelming, chop it up into bite-sized pieces, and just do one of those things a day, one piece at a time. So one step at a time, one by the elephant. That's what it's all about. So the N is never quit. The A is accept failure, because failure is the greatest teacher of my life.
all right. That's a wrap. Banging your head against the wall, trying to navigate the complexities of a relationship impacted by childhood trauma, it doesn't have to be this daunting. When you're married to a partner with unresolved childhood trauma, it can feel like you're walking on eggshells, never quite knowing what will set them off. No matter what you try, it feels like there's always something triggering another emotional response that seems completely out of context. And the harder you try to fix it, the more discouraged you feel. So what's the issue here? Navigating marriage with a trauma survivor is different. The love languages don't work. Date nights don't work. Self-help books don't help. But here's the good news. I've created something that does work. Something built from years of hard-earned lessons and real-life experience. Ready to take the first step toward real change? Let's talk. I'm offering a free one-on-one call where we'll dive into what's going on in your relationship and figure out a way forward together. This isn't just another quick chat. It's a chance to finally be heard, to share what you're going through with someone who truly gets it. No judgment, just real support. So if you're ready to start making sense of it all and find a little more peace in your marriage, book your free call now. Your happiness, your peace, and your relationship are worth it. Let's do it together.
Failure, because failure is the greatest teacher of my life. I've learned more through failure than I have ever learned through doing it right. If I do it right, I'm like, maybe that was good. I don't know. But if I fail, I also know where my edges are, and I can find those edges and then start expanding my capacity to do something better. So never quit, accept failure. The K is to kill mediocrity, because, we're surrounded by mediocrity every day, scrolling social media, finding excuses to not, attack our goals for the day or go work out or whatever the thing is, to just be lazy. So it's fun to just be mediocre sometimes. But when we're mediocre, we're not going to change lives around us. We're not going to change our lives. We're just going to be blah and, just exist rather than live. So the never quit, accept failure. K is kill mediocrity. E is expose your fears. And I don't mean lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. I mean the fears, the thoughts, the stresses that live in the back of your brain. They live back there and you don't tell anyone about them. You don't even want to show them to anyone. But they're the things that have you in an argument with yourself when you're alone in your car, or the things that keep you up at night or make you wake up at night. Those are the things. So when I talk about expose your fears, I mean, let's just say you're afraid of public speaking, or I would say go take a public speaking class, get in front of your peers and speak. You're going to find out very quickly that they want you to succeed, where in your mind you're thinking they want me to fail. I'm going to burst into flames up here or something like that. Or let's say you have low self-esteem. I'll say go take a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class for a year. You're going to learn a skill set to defend yourself. And you're going to have someone every night in class trying to rip your arm off or choke you unconscious. But pretty soon you're going to learn how to defend that. And then you're going to start doing that to other people. And that's going to build your self-confidence. One of my coaches once upon a time said, fear does not exist on paper. And he's in the billionaire category. And so what he would do when he would be driving along and like all these fears and stresses and anxieties would start swirling around in his head, he would just he was like, I am just completely overwhelmed by all the thoughts. He would pull over to like a Starbucks, order a small coffee, take out a pen and a piece of paper, always.
There you go.
And just start writing what's in there, what's bothering me. Write that down, every single stress, thought, anxiety, whatever it is. Write it out and then go back and read it. So I like to think about, and when you go back and you read it, you're like, really, that's the thing that's really given me so much stress. It's causing so much anxiety. Like, how is that possible? Yeah. Right. But if it lives in here and you don't expose it, you're like, I think about fear to be like a vampire. Yeah. Vampires, they live in the darkness and they suck the life out of you. I think of fear the same way. How do you kill a vampire? You expose it to sunlight. How do you kill fear? You expose those fears exactly the same way. That's what I mean by expose your fear. Sometimes it's just going and talking to someone. So it's therapy, things like that, and maybe talking to a coach. Oftentimes, a lot of my clients, I end up falling into they talk about all the reasons that they're afraid to take action in one way or another. Like, okay, good. Now, how do you feel that you've talked about it? I think I can go do it. Okay, let's go. So it's never quit, accept failure, kill mediocrity. E is expose your fears, and D is do the work. I think do the work is self-explanatory. You just have to do each one of those things every single day and just continue to do it. There's a saying that says, Rome wasn't built in a day, but I guarantee you it was built every single day until it became an empire. And so
Oh,
that's how we need to look at our life and believe in ourselves and move forward. And so that's my signature presentation, 5 secrets to help you think like a Navy SEAL. Never quit, accept failure, kill mediocrity, expose your fears, and D is do the work. And because I'm talking about thinking like a Navy SEAL and taking action, I put the word get in front of naked. So if you want to think like a Navy SEAL, you have to get naked.
dang.
There's my
Love it.
my 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 keynote.
Oh, and I want to just ask a question because I never get to talk to a Navy SEAL. But so the fear one,
Yes.
how did that play out? How did you guys address your fears as a Navy SEAL?
Oftentimes it's just doing repetitions.
Okay.
It's all in the preparation. And
Yeah.
so, we do so much work, so much preparation, so many iterations. We put ourselves in the worst case scenario. Sometimes we'll just kill everyone.
Yeah.
And we'll put ourselves into a scenario where you can't win. And we will very often use force on force training where we've got other SEALs who are in the training department are the bad guys now. And so we're fighting other people who can operate at our exact same level, and we need to be able to beat them as a team. As individuals, we're not going to be able to beat them. Me as an individual, I can't beat a SEAL team. I can give them a hard time, but eventually they'll win. So it's really putting ourselves and preparing and training and preparing and training and talking about what's the worst case scenario that could happen here. And the times that I was probably the most scared overseas, which are times that you can't really plan for, are when things were blowing up right next to me. In a gunfight, that was not a big deal because we trained that. But when things are blowing up and you feel the heat and you're maybe getting moved a bit and whatever, that became a lot more scary because you don't know where it's coming from.
But you have
And
done those reps
we
where
have done
you
the
know the
reps. We're like,
feeling.
we know what to do in the event that this happens. Okay, check. Okay, an IED just hit our vehicle. We got a couple of guys down. The driver's down. He can't drive, and so if I'm sitting in the back behind the driver, I reach up and I reach over the driver, and now I'm steering, and maybe I can't hit the pedal, hit the gas pedal, and so the vehicle behind us comes and pushes us, and so I'm steering and trying to keep in line with the vehicles that are in front, and they're providing our propulsion while I steer from the back seat. But it's preparation, it's training, it's the things that
Prep.
we have to do in order to be successful. And
Yeah,
it's the preparation over the planning. Preparation is always more important than planning.
I love that. And that's such a good example. It reminds me, I had this quote, and I'll probably get it wrong too, but it's basically the best cure for anxiety is action.
Yes.
That's what it
Yeah,
reminds me of.
I was just going to kind of go there, and I talk about
Yeah,
this in my keynote a little bit. So oftentimes when we're afraid, we take action. And if you don't think so, like just think about driving your car, you're like cruising along and then you're coming up to a
something
a,
happens.
a light that's turning. You should have the green light. You're going into the intersection and another car runs a red light. You see it because you're not scrolling on your phone and like checking your Instagram or whatever. And you're like you hit the brakes and you steer away and you avoid that crash. You were afraid you were going to get hit or hit them, but you took action. Like fear
Yeah,
created action. You took action. Now you're just mad.
yeah.
No big deal. No one died. No one got hurt. You're angry and rightfully so, but you were scared for that quick second. You took action and now so what?
Yeah. Oh, I
So
love that.
as long as we're taking action, we're going to eliminate anxiety.
And I think that, just that entire mindset is so it's a little similar to what, I do with partners, it's the same principles apply, in relationships. So I absolutely love that. And tell me, because I think the is it the get naked, it has there's another meaning behind.
So the original meeting was about taking
Yeah.
that
Okay.
armor that you're hiding behind off. And where I was thinking
Okay.
about that as the naked warrior, we go into
Yeah.
combat and we put on our body armor and a helmet and all this other stuff. And oftentimes, you know, we wear it because it can save our life. And then
Yeah.
when we come back, we take that armor off, we hang it up, we go, you strip down, we hit the showers, we debrief, we recover, we get ready for the next mission. But in life, we don't do that always. We put this armor on and we just carry it. We go into harm's way and then we come back and we're still carrying the armor and we never take. And then we're getting tired and we go into harm's way and maybe we put on some more armor and we come back. And now we're just, maybe we're talking to our partner and we're just become defensive and like they're just trying to talk to us. And now we're defending ourselves and we haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing to defend,
Mhm.
but we feel like we need to defend it
Yeah.
because we never stop to take that armor, that ego, that crap that we're hiding behind protecting ourselves off and exposing ourselves and becoming vulnerable so we can find the healing that we actually need.
That's amazing. And speaking of taking action, so you're currently have a business with CBD.
Yes.
So tell me how that came into play. So
Yeah. So,
right?
yeah. So I was still in the military when I heard about this molecule called CBD that helps with stress, anxiety, helps with sleep, helps with pain, and all these other things. And I was like, oh, I probably need some of that. But then I also realized where it came from the cannabis plant.
Yeah.
And so, there are a couple of versions of cannabis out there. There's marijuana and there's hemp. And so all of my products, based off the Farm Bill of 2018, all of my products are federally legal. Um, Hemp-derived CBD. So CBD is one of 120 different molecules and terpenes. Terpenes are essential oils of the cannabis plant that have, I have to be careful with what I say, have potential therapeutic properties. And so when I started taking CBD, I took it and my sleep was a little bit better. Pains were a little bit less sharp, like as they used to. And I started having better self-talk. And then I ran out of that bottle of CBD that someone gave me, and things started getting worse again. And so I was like, oh, maybe CBD was a thing. So I tried a different brand. I had very similar results. I'm like, I'm going to start this company and I'm going to call it Naked Warrior Recovery. Again,
Oh, yeah.
the Naked Warrior, which is the predecessor of today's Navy SEAL, the Naked Warrior, about taking that ego, that armor off, and CBD was a modality to help you get there. It was a modality that helped me get there. And so, interestingly enough, there are other companies in the we'll call it nutritional supplement space. CBD is not a nutritional supplement, but I applied for a
Yeah.
trademark once upon a time, and now I'm in a lawsuit uh, from another company, multi-million dollar supplements company, who claim that they own everything with the word naked in the nutritional supplement space. So I've been in a lawsuit for the last 2.5 years. And when I talk about killing mediocrity, oftentimes I talk about, one of the ways to kill mediocrity in your life is to compete in kindness, compete in giving, compete in um, sometimes, financially. Sometimes it's just, competing and giving your time. Can you be the kindest person you know? Can you compete and win in that? And then when you get really good at those things, start competing in gratitude. I found about 2.5 years ago, I started writing down 5 things that I was grateful for every day. 4 of those things are super easy. 4 of those things are like, yeah, my family, my fitness, finances, a place to live, opportunity, I live in America, all these great things. And then the 5th thing was always something that has brought me great pain. So one of the things that I've been writing lately is the lawsuit that I am currently in about the name of my company. I have
Yeah.
gratitude for that. I'm grateful that I get to be in this lawsuit because I'm able to learn about how this whole thing works so I can do it better. Maybe I'll have a client that will be in a lawsuit and I can help them navigate it. What are some other reasons? Oh, something that came up recently is I can potentially use this lawsuit to help fund a friend of mine's nonprofit that helps other veterans to get treat like alternative treatment solutions that they can use down in Mexico. So that's it. That's an angle that I'm working right now to potentially get the plaintiff of the lawsuit to. I'll just say I won't be Naked Warrior Recovery anymore. I'll do something else if you'll donate this much money to this nonprofit because all I care about is ending veteran suicide and making the world a better place. You care about the name much more than I do. So let's make the world a better place together. And so that's how I that's yeah, so that's
The
gratitude. So I'm
mindset
grateful.
change.
Right,
The
exactly.
mindset change is getting you through. Yeah, that's huge. So tell me what we can do better for
Hmm.
veterans. When it's like you're done.
Yeah, I think as a, it's interesting. I haven't had this conversation for a while, but there is, the effort that the military puts into you, bringing you into the military
Yeah.
is hugely contrasted by the effort they put into putting you out of the military. So in bringing you into the military, it's days and weeks and months of like all the paperwork and the medical stuff, and then getting you up to wherever your boot camp is, your basic training area, and you spend 12 weeks there learning how to be in the military, learning how to not be a civilian anymore. And basically they give you a new identity. On the way out, and it doesn't matter if you're in 4 years or 40 years, you have a 1 week, 5 day class that
Oh boy.
they teach you how to write a resume, and they talk to you about the VA, and that's about it.
I can
Oh,
only
and how to
imagine.
do a budget.
Oh,
And I'm like, are you kidding?
oh
If
dear.
I'm not able to do a budget at this point in my life, I've made some mistakes along the way. And so that's the
Yeah.
if we could figure out a better transition
Transition.
plan for veterans as they leave, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Even if it was like a list of different, I don't know, industries that, maybe really, I would say start preparing veterans a minimum of a year out.
Yeah.
Minimum.
It- oh, wow. And do you know anybody who's doing this now for veterans?
There's one nonprofit that I'm aware of
Okay.
that, they travel around and they basically come and do conferences. It's free to show up, and they just give you tools. Like there were things that I didn't know, like don't like get new life insurance now that while you're still in from a civilian organization,
Yeah.
because your life insurance is going to end, and if you have any disabilities, you may not be allowed to get life insurance. Like no one's ever told me that. I'm 100% disabled through the VA. I mean, if you add up all the things that's wrong with me, I'm over 250%
Oh,
disabled.
yeah. That's going to be a problem. Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, do you think like MetLife is going to be like, all right, let's give you a policy. We're going to
Sign
give you
you
a super low
on.
rate too. They're going to
Yeah.
look at me and be like, yeah, no, suck it, Trebek.
Yeah. No. Oh, okay. So just so there, no, things have not
Like, there's
improved in
just
that
so many
area.
areas that, yeah, yeah,
Well, even just it occurs just okay, what motivates you? What could you do to have a life purpose? Just that type of discussion,
right.
right?
Right.
To
I mean,
initiate what
when I
is
talk to veterans, I talk about, so I
yeah.
did a TED talk in 20 November of 23, and it was really life. It was like transition through life like a Navy SEAL. And what I said is basically take your military training and apply that to transitioning into your next military mission. And I say my transition from the military to civilian life is the hardest military mission I've ever been on, and I'm still on that mission today. I'm still figuring it out because there's no roadmap, because I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm not a 9 to 5 employee, and I'm grateful for that. But it was, had I planned better while I was still in, and then I executed my plan as violently as I possibly could, I might be having a different conversation. But I kind of sort of halfway planned, and then I kind of halfway executed, and I had a lot of entitlement that I felt. I was like, but I've done all this other work. Shouldn't it be easy for me to, get clients and all this other stuff? And absolutely not. So I had to take that entitlement, which I hated in the first place, and then I hated myself for having I'm like, what? Get rid of that.
I did
Start doing
exactly
the
what I
work.
hate. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And which made me understand like it's easy for people to fall into that entitlement role.
Yeah.
And but anyway, once I figured that out, I was like, okay, then I started asking for help. But when I tell people when they transition, like start 1 or 2 years beforehand, think about what you want to do. What's out there? Like information, I mean, I retired in 2018, but information is so much easier now than it was then. And that
Yeah,
was
it
2018
is.
was not that long ago.
Yeah.
And so figure out, it doesn't matter if what you do when you get out of the military or out of whatever you're doing now, it doesn't matter if that's what you will do for the next 20 years. What matters is that you have a plan and then you go execute that plan. And so I tell people, like, let's figure out what your plan is. Maybe you want to do something in IT and you don't have any IT credentials. While you're still in the military, they'll probably pay for you to go through a bunch of IT credential classes.
Yeah. Hmm.
Use those resources that you have.
Right.
Go start looking for companies that maybe you want to work for. Maybe there's a program that will bring you on as like an intern. You can do it on, in your spare time. Tell your friends and your family what you want to do, like where you want to go, what you want to do, and then have them poke holes in your plan, and then start practicing your plan. Like maybe you need to practice. Maybe you're not very good at interviewing. Start practicing. Like have people like do mock interviews. So really, I would
Yeah.
recommend you try to get hired 6 months before you get out.
Wouldn't that be
Right.
taking that action? Yeah. When the
Right.
fear is there. I love that. So tell me, this is kind of, I just have so appreciated this conversation and how real that you've been about the struggles, and also this what you're doing to help other. But what would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned about connection, whether it's with
Oh,
yourself, your loved ones, or your community?
interesting. Connection. Connection is really about being able to put away distractions and focus on the person that you want to be with. Even if it's you just want to be with yourself. Connect with yourself. Be kind to yourself. So many people are unkind. And if you heard me when I'm frustrated, some of the sentences that come out of my mouth, you would not think that I am deeply connected with myself, but I actually am. I'm like, maybe I'm disappointed with myself with some of my actions if like I couldn't figure something out. But I learned probably not that long ago that self-love is probably the most important thing that you could do. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else because you're the person that you're around the most. So you have to connect with yourself. And then you can connect with someone else. And I talk about it in leadership. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead anyone else. If you can't connect with yourself, you can't connect with someone else. If you can't love yourself, you can't love someone else. So you have to love yourself first. You have to connect with yourself first. But connection, you know, with my fiance, uh, I find that a lot of people want spontaneity, and that's great. I love spontaneity, but also I want to be very grounded and centered and focused on her when it's time for us to be together so that I am connected. I'm not like, I don't care what my phone says. I don't care if someone's calling me. I don't care about anything else. I just want to connect with her and just be close and have deep, meaningful conversations that are going to make our lives better.
How has all the work that you've done to this point kept you from, repeating old patterns in your relationship?
Well, I still do sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's self-awareness. It's being
Yeah.
aware and, you know, having those hard conversations with my partner to, she'll see things that I don't see. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And she'll point it out to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I am.
But now with
Um,
that self-love that you have for yourself, you're able to hear it
correct.
without beating
Right.
yourself up.
Enough. I oftentimes, it's easy for me to become defensive,
Yeah.
which is it's natural. It's human. We
It's
will all be
human. Indeed.
it's 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 the work that I've done is really to not react to what is being said, take a minute, pause, and respond appropriately. And it's hard when there's a lot of stress in your life. Very hard. So, for example, my future brother-in-law, 3 weeks ago, had a had a seizure, passed
Mhm.
out. They took him to the hospital, did a CAT scan of his brain, massive brain tumor. We
Oh,
jumped in the car, drove to and then they moved him up to Boston. We drove up there, and that was just stress on top of stress on top of stress on top of stress. And there were times where she would snap at me for something because I wasn't
yeah. You're
supporting her,
very reactive. Uh-huh.
and I was like, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
and I would just maybe
Come
deliver
back.
something right back
Yeah.
because it was as if I had done, I was taking it as if something I had done something, or she was accusing me of something.
Yeah.
She wasn't accusing me of something. She's expressing how she feels. And it had nothing to do with me. But I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
get yourself together. Oh,
Step back,
yep. Take a deep
repair.
breath. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can be in a less stressful environment, it's much easier to do that. But again, this goes back to preparation. This goes back to practice. If you practice it when times are good, because
Yes.
none of us think that we need to practice when times are good. Not a one of us. And I preach this stuff and teach this stuff, and I still fall into the same category.
Yes.
But if you practice when times are good, it will be much easier to execute it when times are bad. So you have to practice it daily or at least often, often, often. Step into those hard situations. It's like working out. Every year I do one very hard, epic thing. This year I haven't done it yet. Some people would say the swim across the Hudson River. It's a 3 mile
I
swim with a
feel
bunch
like
of push-ups
that's
and
pretty good. Yeah.
I need something bigger. So last year I
Oh
climbed
God.
Kilimanjaro.
You
The year
did?
before that I did the Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim twice. The year before that I did the Grand Teton.
Okay.
And what I found is you're putting yourself into these really difficult
Simulating.
situations.
Simulating,
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
and you and you have to work your way through it and fight your way out of it. It's
You're
always a
practicing
fight.
for the hard times.
Correct. And so if you can do that mentally and emotionally, that is huge.
Yeah.
And if you add the physical aspect to it, if you're practicing it physically, mentally, and emotionally, you can't be broken. It doesn't matter how stressful it is, but you have to be disciplined to practice it even when the times are good. It's all about the preparation.
That's amazing. I love that. Thank you for opening up to that because I wish you the best. So, fiance, is that right?
Yes.
Getting
I think
married
the first
soon?
time we spoke, she was not fiance yet. So
I know. I don't think so.
no, she was definitely not. Because the brain tumor happened like 4 days after the
Oh,
engagement. And
okay.
so I'm like, he's just trying to steal your thunder, giving him a hard time because he's doing awesome right now. The eight
Oh, thank
hours of brain
goodness.
surgery and it's
Oh,
like,
boy.
and I mean, we got to see the MRI before he went into
You
surgery, and it was
did.
probably the tumor was a third the size of his brain. But it was actually kind of cool because they're like, this thing has been in there for at least 10 years. It's the slowest growing cells of
So,
cancer tumor or whatever that you could have, and because it kind of went in and it like moved his brain out of the way in different places, and it moved around his
wow.
brain, and it was like, I guess there are these wings that are in the
Fascinating.
back of your brain, and one of them was like 90 degrees out. And but that just because it had just grown so
It
slowly
just
and the brain
been
moved and the
pushed.
tumor moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason he had that seizure
Seizure.
was just because it just pushed on just a little thing,
The
or we
pressure.
still would not know. He ran an Ironman
Oh,
triathlon a year ago.
wow.
And so,
Wow.
but now he's, life is good,
Recovery.
and he still has a little bit of the tumor in there, but he's going to take some new medication that I guess will just
Shrink,
stop the growth. It won't shrink
shrink,
it,
stop
but it
it.
just stops the growth. Like
Okay.
it won't allow it to continue to grow. But again, he's
Oh.
like, if even if it does grow, he's got another 10 or plus years. So,
No kidding. Slow, slow growth.
right? Exactly.
Oh, well, that's amazing. I'm so excited for you and the future. And you need to just keep speaking and giving your naked analogy
Thank you
to
very
everybody
much.
because they all need it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
A ride, right? William took us from Navy SEAL missions to the invisible battles that follow you home, and he didn't hold back. So here's the real deal. My three biggest takeaways that I want you to take from this interview and actually try this week. Number one, drop the armor. We all put up walls, defensiveness, ego, that need to prove a point. But connection happens when we're willing to take it off. And if William can do it, so can you. So this week, catch yourself in defense mode and ask, what would it feel like to just lower that shield? And number two, ask for help. Even SEALs need backup. They need a team. Asking for help is not weakness, it's strength. I want you to try it. Whether it's your partner, a friend, or a coach, practice saying, hey, can you help me? And see how much lighter it feels. And number three, train when it's calm. I want you to hear that. Don't wait for a blow up to practice better communication. Work the reps when things are smooth so you're ready when stress really hits. And here's the key, it's okay to mess up. Don't give up. Just keep trying, keep practicing until it starts to feel natural. That's how real change happens. So that is the real deal. And until next time, I want you to keep dropping the armor, asking for help, and putting in the reps because love is worth the work.
All right, that's a wrap for today on Love and Trauma, the real deal. Big thanks to my guests for sharing their insights. Couldn't have done it without you. Now, for those of you looking to take this journey further, I've got something special. Head to my website to grab Real Tactics, Real Healing, a survivor's playbook for navigating a relationship with a trauma survivor. It's packed with everything you need to know, do, and say to navigate the emotional minefield, find your balance, and regain your self-worth and happiness.